Hey, good morning, friends. I wanted to share with you one of the scriptures that's from this upcoming Sunday. And I'm not preaching, Pastor Dan is. I don't know what he's got in mind, but this scripture really grabbed me. And I just finished writing an e-devotion. So some of this will overlap if you happen to read that. But I felt like I could expand on it a little bit in talking to you. So here's the scripture. It's from John chapter 15, verses 9 through 17. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. I have said these things to you so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends, if you do what I command you. I do not call you servants any longer, because the servant does not know what the master is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have made known to you everything that I have heard from my Father. You did not choose me, but I chose you. And I appointed you to go and bear fruit, fruit that will last, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask in my name. I'm giving you these commands so that you may love one another. So I'm reflecting on this scripture in light of one of my favorite seasons in the church year. It's not a liturgical season. It's not exactly, although it feels that way a bit. It feels reflective and ponderous in the manner of Lent, and it feels sort of anticipatory and mysterious like Advent does. It's this season of confirmation preparation. Dun, dun, dun. There's a little bit of that. There's some ninth graders that were binge watching our YouTube channel this last weekend in order to get sermon notes completed, I'm sure. But the really sacred and beautiful part of this, at least in my experience, as they're wrapping up their classes and choosing their verses to be read and choosing the symbols for their stoles, is this part where we have them write a paper and then sit down and chat with one of the pastors about their thoughts. And the questions, listen to this. These are the questions that our ninth graders are asked to answer. What do you believe about God? Who are you as a child of God? What do you believe about the church? Who has helped you to come to know Jesus Christ? How? Describe a significant event in your life and the role of your faith in that event. Now, as you can tell, these are grown-up questions. These are not childish questions by any means. And I'm always impressed with the level of thought and authenticity that most of the students put into these papers. They're not long, but they're deep. And they lead to deep conversation, and it is just a delight to sit with them and hear about what they're thinking and reflecting on, and how that dovetails with the things that they're involved in and their emerging gifts and passions. It is so much fun and so inspiring. And I often wish that I had more time with each of them. But there are a few things that really become clear to me as I sit with these papers, these papers on one side of me and the Bible on the other. And that is that these kids are developing a friendship with God. And that is so gratifying to see, because I think that is exactly what we want for our young people. We spend a lot of time in the early years just trying to teach them about what God expects, what constitutes good behavior and what constitutes proper belief. We want them to get those basics. But think sometimes we have a hard time getting our kids beyond the basics. And maybe it's because that element is more caught than taught. It comes from them seeing adults and even older kids that they trust living it out. And but these kids are reflective of a dynamic and living relationship with God, and that is what excites me. It's a relationship that's got room for big questions and doubts and not having everything all tied up in a bow. They've got wonderings about how the church expresses itself and how God is active in the world, and what happens in the life after this one. Big questions. And yet they understand themselves as belonging to a community where those questions are welcome and where they are part of the journey. So I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful for this sense that even though we are inviting them to make a choice in going through with the rite of confirmation, and we want that to be their choice, not my choice, not their parents' choice. We want it to be their choice. But underlying all of that is this strong sense that they didn't choose God, but God chose them first. They are choosing to make a promise and a step forward in their faith, which is beautiful and profound, but God chose them first. And it's that shepherding, as important as the work of their faith mentors and their parents and everybody else has been. It's that choosing that has shepherded them through the hardships and hurdles of their journey, and particularly this past year. It's that shepherding that's got them through times of distraction and doubt and despair even. That's been with them through broken bones and car accidents and other scary times that they have faced even in their young lives. And it's clear to me, and it's becoming clear to them that there's that calling comes with purpose, and that they have a unique role and opportunity to serve as ambassadors and allies and witnesses in the places where they reside and in the communities to which they are called, in which being a follower of Jesus, being a friend of God, is an increasingly foreign concept. So I thank you for your prayers for our confirmands as they prepare for their rite of confirmation, which is coming up towards the end of May here. And I invite your reflection on these questions as well, because really they are questions that friends of God, friends of Jesus, should be reflecting on all our lives. So what do you believe about God? Who are you as a child of God? What do you believe about the church? Particularly in this year where the church has taken on new expressions, has had to adapt to different challenges. Who has helped you come to know Jesus Christ, and how? And thinking about the important events of your life, how has faith played a role? I hope you could take some time to reflect on these questions this week, and maybe even to have a little conversation about them with another friend of Jesus. Take care, dear ones. I'll talk to you again soon.